guys, this is Echo Sounds with another tutorial for MassiveSynth.com. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel and you'd like to do that, you can sign up at youtube.com/ADSR Tuts. That's Tuts. So today we're going to be looking at how to make this kind of ambient pop lead. You could definitely squeeze it into genres like dubstep, some, I guess, genres of trance and progressive if you'd like to use it more as a pad. But there's a big kind of movement, I guess, in the pop world right now with a bunch of ambient kind of chill sounds, which is nice and refreshing that it's not the really fast-paced, hit in the head dance super saw synth. So today we're just going to be looking at how you can create one of those in Native Instruments Massive. So let me make a new instance really quick and drag this MIDI down. The cool thing is it's actually a great bass too. Like if I take out this the high-end notes, it's a cool ambient bass too, so it can kind of double as both. So making a new sound, let's jump right into this real quick. It's only going to be in one oscillator sound, which is helpful. I'm just going to keep it on the square saw. Basically, you're going to do most of your creative freedoms in the filter, the effects section, and even the noise a little bit. And we're going to do some modulation with some envelopes and an LFO, but it's pretty simple to do. So let's keep the pitch where it is and keep the intensity and wavetable position, amp, all that where they are by default. So right now your sound is going to be like this. Alright, pretty ugly and not what we're going for. So what we need to do is let's actually just go down to this noise generator real quick, and I'm going to select murmur, and I'm just going to boost the amp a little bit right now. And your sound will be pretty much the same. So let's go to our filter, which is going to be really important for this sound. I'm going to select a low pass 2. The reason I'm doing that is it cuts out a little bit more of the bass than if I were to go with a low pass 4, which I thought it was too much of a bass sound. And I'm going to take the cutoff down almost all the way because I like it up there, but I'm going to modulate that with an envelope. So I'm going to turn this resonance down a little bit as well. This knob doesn't do anything, so you don't have to worry about it. Now let's make sure that the mix is set up to the first filter in all of them, which they should by default. Now we're going to go to our voicing tab here, and in the voicing tab you're going to want to make sure you just have these settings. You're going to want it on one voice. You're not going to touch any of the pitch cutoff or wavetable position, pan position. You could turn it to 2 voices and then introduce some pan position if you wanted a wider sound, but the one that you heard in the demo, I did not do that. So leave it on polyphonic. And now let's go to our oscillator tab. And in the oscillator tab, we're just going to introduce a really, really slight amount of vibrato. So I'm going to clear out this macro that's here by default by right-clicking on it and saying turn off. And I'm just going to boost a little bit of vibrato. All right, so let's put a little bit of feedback in the signal. So now that we got the pretty much the voicing and all that taken care of, let's go to the real meat of this sound, the envelopes. So the first envelope, I'm going to go to envelope 1, and I'm going to turn the attack all the way down for it. Keep the level cranked up. I'm going to turn this decay down a little bit under halfway, or you can keep it around halfway. It's not going to make a huge difference. I'm going to turn this level down all the way and crank this release up above halfway. Now you should get, if you get the release point right and the decay right, this line right here should be near this box on trig 0 reset, and you're going to leave this on gate. So now let's drag this crosshair into our cutoff 1, and what you're going to do is you're just going to drag it out, I guess, a good amount. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to have the sound, I'm trying to make it more present on the attack. So now I'm thinking that the tail of this sound sucks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a second envelope to kind of represent the tail. So I'm going to do kind of the inverse of what I did in this first envelope with the short attack time. I'm going to give it a little bit longer attack time and a longer decay time. So this has a really short decay time. It's pretty much nothing, the level of the decay. And I'm going to keep this level a little bit higher. So let's turn the attack up to above halfway. Keep the level where it is. Turn the decay up to about 70-75%, and then turn the level up to about 60%. And now I'm going to turn this release up above halfway. So if you get the decay and the release points right, this little first kind of tip of the envelope should be in this delete box. So now what you're going to do is let's activate a loop point to make the sound more interesting. I'm going to just loop it to 1 point. I'm going to keep it on morph 1 and morph 1. And now you should have these two little lines here. And what you're going to do now is boost this level so you get this nice downward sloping line. And now to have this affect the sound, I'm going to drag this into the cutoff, the first box on my filter 1 cutoff, and I'm going to drag it out past the first envelope that we modulated. Alright, so that is kind of the sound. So now I'm going to take this second envelope and modulate downwards on this resonance. So as the sound progresses through this stage, this ADSR stage we created, the resonance is basically heading towards 0 or towards nothing. So let's activate some effects for this. I'm going to select the delayed sync for the first FX1. And in that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a ratio of 3:16 for the left, which is a nice long one, and then 3:16 for the right as well. And you could change this depending on how quickly you're playing or the tempo of your song. This was at 105 BPM, so this 3:16 worked nicely. And I'm going to turn the dry wet down, turn the damp up all the way, keep the feedback pretty much where it is. Actually, I'm going to turn the damp down a little bit. So let's go to the second FX slot inside of Massive, and I'm going to activate the reverb. Turn the dry wet down, turn the size up, turn this density up, and we're going to turn this color up to make it a little bit of a brighter reverb tail. Okay, so we have a good chunk of the sound sounding pretty ambient, but still a little bit too rough around the edges, I would say. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this third envelope, and in this, I am going to turn the attack down all the way, keep the level up, keep the decay down actually almost all the way, just a little bit of a bump, and turn the level down pretty much all of the way, and keep the release where it is. And we're going to modulate the pitch now of our first oscillator, and I'm going to modulate it down to -7.88, which is a weird random number, but it worked. All right, and now let's go to an available LFO slot, and what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your envelopes. Now, you could use either one, but I used the second envelope because I wanted more of that progression to happen on the longer decay time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to modulate my rate of my LFO that I want to macro with, and my amp. So let's turn the amp down to just a shade above halfway, and then crank it up using that envelope. I'm going to do the same thing with the rate, turn it up just a little bit above halfway, and then boost it with that envelope modulation that we've just created. I'm going to turn the X fade curve all the way up because I just want it on this sine waveform here. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to modulate to 0.25 on my first oscillator. And that's adding a little bit of kind of like a wobble vibrato type thing. Just helps make the sound come to life a little bit more. And then what you always could do with the second envelope, because this is the thing that's really kind of controlling the bulk of the sound, you could add some velocity to this envelope. So now it's more of a velocity sensitive. So as I play, if I show you my MIDI editor real quick, this envelope will be more prominent on the notes that I play harder. So this is a quieter note than this. So that might help make it more of a dynamic and expressive sound. So let's play that. All right, final thing I'm going to do to this sound is some EQ tweaks. I'm going to boost the EQ just a pinch, and I'm going to use my second envelope as well to boost it a little bit further than where I want to boost it. And now I'm going to push the frequency up, and this high shelf I'm going to turn down actually. And there you have it, kind of a cool pop dubstep. You could use it in a few genres, EDM, ambient lead in massive. It's super easy to make. It's just one oscillator. And once if you guys refollow this tutorial and remake it, like I said, the real magic in this sound is happening in the envelopes and your modulation points. So you can filter through, cycle through some different oscillators. And get some really cool sounds. It's a good palette to really start either some leads or some pads. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, let me know below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't checked out ADSRsounds.com or MassiveSynth.com, head on over there. Tons of cool things, production related, sound design related. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.